Oh, someone was shouting at me from the tents here. Et je te filme pas! Ah, qu'est-ce que c'est? So I'm gonna have to pay attention with my camera now. I did not stay too close because I received a lot of threats. Almost 300,000 people saw my last video about this neighborhood in Paris. And some people commented, it has always been like this, it has always been diverse. So I wanted to address that and pay tribute to the people who built and lived in this neighborhood for generations and who have been written out of history by those who want us to believe it has always been like this. So let's start. So before this station existed, it was built in 1846. Before there was one of the largest, most densely packed slums in Europe. And obviously at the time it was French people. So I cannot tell you the exact location of this slum, but it was around here. So here's Hôpital Lariboisière Hospital. So it was built in the 19th century, and it bears the name Lariboisière because it was financed by a rich widow whose surname was Lariboisière. You can see by the style also, very French. It was built by French people, obviously, and this rich widow funded this hospital so that working class French people could have access to a nice hospital also. So now I'm gonna go in that market here, I'm gonna walk through. It doesn't look very French, we'll see.
Ça va et vous?
So you see here this elevated metro line was built in 1903. I will show you some picture of the construction at the time, and you can see how the workers look. It used to be the octroi wall. It used to be a barrier where people had to pay tax. So workers came from over there, you can say, and to go to Paris, to go to work. Some of their goods had to be taxed. One of the scenes that Émile Zola described in his novel L'Assommoir, which was written in 1877, I think, where his heroine, Gervaise, is living on Boulevard de la Chapelle, so on this boulevard, in a very cheap hotel, very cheap house. It was near Barrière Poissonnière, so I think it was here. And Gervaise obviously is French. She is originally from the south of France, near Marseille. Why do I bring up this novel, which is a fictional novel, but it was obviously based on real life, because Émile Zola wanted to write a novel that is realistic, and absolutely all the characters in his novel are French, ethnic French, whether they are from provincial France or from Paris. So at the time, this neighborhood was fully French, like very, very French. There was not even any European immigrants there. It was very, very French. It was very representative of this neighborhood at that time. Zola wanted to write a novel that is based on what he could observe at that time in this neighborhood, how life really was in this neighborhood. Gervaise, the heroine of the book, is originally from Provence, so near Marseille. Her first lover is from the south of France. Then she meets another guy who becomes her husband. And this man is from Paris itself. He was born in Paris. Actually, he was born in this street, in Rue de la Goutte d'Or. And it's also where Gervaise has a shop at some point, where she employs different employees that are all French also. I mean, basically all the characters are French. And now it's very different, to say the least. At the end of the 19th century, some immigration from other European countries came. Those immigrants came from Poland, Belgium, Italy. So first of all, there were much less immigrants. And most importantly, these immigrants were European. So they looked similar. They had a very similar culture. It was not comparable to the kind of immigration we have nowadays. These people assimilated after one or two generations, and after one or two generations it was not noticeable, simply because of the fact that they look similar to the French, they have a similar culture, similar way of life, and so on. They are part of the same civilization. And it was possible to assimilate them, because as I said, they were close to the French. And then things really changed, or really started to change at the end, a little bit at the end of the 1950s, but mostly in the 1960s, and particularly in the 1970s. The real breaking point was in the 1970s, and since then it has continued. Because in the 1970s there was a formal decree was passed that allowed family reunification. Because at first, those immigrants coming from other continents, from Africa mostly, from North Africa and Sub-Saharan Africa in particular, they were supposed to be temporary workers, but it became permanent in the 1970s because of this decree that was signed and that allowed family reunification. At some point, the elected government tried to cancel this formal decree, to remove the right of family reunification and to repatriate those temporary workers, because those workers coming from other continents were supposed to come here to work, send money back home, and at some point to go back to their country of origin. But it's not what happened because of what happened because of this formal decree that was signed in the 1970s. I think it was in 1976. In 1977, it was removed, but the real turning point was in 1978, when unelected judges forced family reunification and made it untouchable because they made it a constitutional principle. So unelected judge overruled an elected government. And since then, immigration has continued, whether it's from countries in North Africa or from countries in Sub-Saharan Africa, but also now from everywhere else. In the 80s, there were also immigrants from Sri Lanka, like Tamil, so from India and Sri Lanka in particular. So someone was shouting at me from the tents here. Et je te filme pas, je filmerai, la caméra est tournée vers moi. Ah, qu'est-ce qu'il y a? Je was over there. So I'm gonna have to pay attention with my camera now. I did not stay too close because I received a lot of threats. And I come here alone, so I cannot take the risk to go there too close. So as I said, as I explained, mass non-European immigration, so immigration coming from North Africa and Sub-Saharan Africa mostly, started a little bit at the end of the 1950s, a bit more in the 1960s, and much more since the 1970s. And since then it hasn't stopped. But just, I mentioned this history of immigration through, so before the end of the 19th century, it was only French people here, only French. I mean, you could find exceptions obviously, but it was almost 100% French. Then a mix of French and other European immigrants. And so this neighborhood has been French and European till the 1970s, we can say, or even till the 1980s, because when this immigration from other continents began, from Africa in particular, it was still majority French and majority European, but as time went by, it became less and less French and European. We had what in the US they call white flight, when there are more and more foreigners in a place, particularly foreigners from other continents that are very different. French people or European people, they just live, no matter for who they vote, by the way. It's just natural for all humans to want to live among people who look similar to you, whether it's physically or culturally. I could walk all along this metro line, just below, and find migrants, drug dealers. Here I don't see drug dealers, but there were a few before. And migrants with tents everywhere. So all these migrants stay here. They are often helped by left-wing association of a church sometimes. That's how some of them got all these tents. Some like to name a left-wing organization among the culprits, and obviously the government itself. But the church is also to blame. Few people often blame the church for the current mass immigration issue. In France, if you go to any church, at the entry there will be leaflets to help migrants in almost all churches. You see here all along. I have to pay attention here. Yeah, here it's all along everywhere. Everyone is very dirty also. People take the metro above, and just below there is what we saw. Some people say France has always changed and so on, which is true, but not all change are the same. Like there are some changes that are a natural continuity of a people's history, and some change are unwanted, undesirable, unforced. And some change are also a threat to the long-term continuity of a people. Some change prevent a people from living as they are supposed to be, and to have a continuity in the future. mass immigration that mostly occurred since the 60s, 70s. Nobody voted for this. It was not debated. And since then, it has been forced through mass propaganda and also obviously by all the measures that were taken since then. Let me know in the comments what you think about all of this. Like and subscribe, and see you for the next video. Normally it should be in the US. So see you.